What's up, everyone? This is Niyi Adewale, host of the Ekabo Home Financial Freedom Mastermind Group. This group meets virtually every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, and the members of this group are committed to achieving financial freedom well before the traditional retirement age. So in this podcast, you are going to get VIP access to the conversations we have about different forms of investment and creative ways to get your dollars working harder for you than you originally worked to obtain those dollars.
What do we got coming down the pipe, man? What's going to go on with these prices and interest rates in the next couple months? You think prices are going to stay where they're at?
Man, and this is strictly my opinion, right? When it comes to the real estate piece. And we'll kick it over to John as it pertains to financials and kind of stocks and things like that. But in my eyes, I think they're raising the interest rates just to try to slow us down, right? Because you kind of have to. We were running off the track.
Absolutely.
I think the average cost of a home in Atlanta went from $250 to $350 in the last couple of years, which is starting to become unattainable. That being said, when you look at what happened with the dollar, right? The fact that, I keep coming back to this, the fact that 40% of the money we have in the US was created in the last 2 years, it leaves a lot of room for prices to grow. I think what I've seen from helping my buyers as well as even selling homes is homes, during the pandemic were sitting for maybe a week before they were under contract. Now they're sitting for closer to 3 weeks, right? Which is, more normal. I think we're getting back to more normal. I don't think it's going to just fall off a cliff and go down, but I think it's going to stabilize over the next, year or so.
Right. Okay.
And John, kicking it over to you, kind of putting you on the spot. What are you thinking from a stock standpoint, crypto? I don't know how much you look into that, but it seems like those have fallen off a cliff.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it does feel that way, but it's kind of nice in a way, especially for younger clients. I mean, I haven't been able to buy into the S&P 500 at this price point in over a year, but it's also only been a year. Like, a lot of people think of market crashes, market declines, like, oh my gosh, we lost 30%, 40%, 50%. I've been saving this money for years and years and years, and now it's only worth X. But it's gone down to where it was a year ago. We just really pulled back a lot of the growth that we had over the last 1, maybe 2 years. So how long it'll last, it's tough to tell. I mean, I don't think we're in a March 2020 situation where the market's going to rebound in a month or 2 months. I think there's a couple things that could impact whether we're going to head into a recession or not, be in more of a bear market or stagnant market for the next 12, 16, 18 months or so. Beneficial side of things is the underlying economy is still strong. The job market is strong. So, we should see some stability coming back into the marketplace in the next 3 to 6 months, depending on what does happen with interest rates and inflation. So a lot is left to be untold. But ultimately, if you're a long-term investor, I think it's an awesome opportunity to be able to buy in. But if you're looking at short-term investing, it's tough to tell.
Agreed. And I should probably caveat even what I said, and I love what you just said last, John, is you got to take a long-term view, right? Especially with, hard assets and even stocks. You got to think, okay, do I want to hang on to this for 5 years? And so, Bo, kind of to your point, from a real estate perspective, what I'm focused on is buying in amazing neighborhoods where people are trying to move to and making it cash flow through kind of the short-term rental route, right? And we actually have somebody that's a little newer on here, and I want him to introduce himself in a second. Kareem, welcome to the Financial Freedom Mastermind Group, man.
Hey, how you doing, Nia, and the team? How's everyone?
Super good, super good. And Kareem is actually very shortly going to be dipping his toe into the short-term rental game. We've had multiple conversations. He is pretty close to closing on a property, just working through some final pieces. And just for your knowledge, Kareem, I'm in the game. Kiera, who's on the line, is now working alongside me in the game. Ahize is definitely in the game. I've seen some of the social media you put out, Ahize. And so you've got a wealth of knowledge on the call.
That's amazing. That's great to know.
And would you mind just giving a little background? Anytime we have somebody new, we like having that individual kind of just describe themselves briefly and also kind of your investing goals over the next couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. So I come from a tech background. Before that, I come from a media production background that turned into digital production. I'm a project manager by trade, so I understand a lot of the processes that you walk me through. It's nothing new to me. I get how things work. In terms of investment, I pulled back a lot from the stock market. I still have a small portfolio. I am invested in real estate. I do own some long-term real estate, long-term rentals, and I just purchased my home in Atlanta, here in Alpharetta to be specific. And we are under contract for the short-term strategy with me. So that's me in a nutshell.
And Kareem, we are happy to have you on. Any questions that you have around processes, anything like that, this is a perfect forum to ask, so feel free to jump in. And I'm actually going to kick it over to Ahize. It's been a while since we connected. What you got going on? You got any new projects?
Hey there. Sorry. Yes. I feel like my Wednesdays get eaten up, but I try to get on when I can. As far as new projects, no, I mean, our Airbnb is still doing well. We actually have a long-term person in there, or what we consider long-term, for 32 days or 33 days currently right now. But we've had some really solid, like summer. This is going to be our first summer with being owners in the short-term rental space. So it looks like it is, popping off pretty good so far. We're still looking for our next property, and with interest rates going up, it has been a little bit of a struggle because, like basically just kind of putting apples to apples, like something that, like even our house that we purchased, if we paid $1,200 per month for it, then at a 3% interest rate, it's going to be, I think when I looked at the calculations, like $1,600, because I was trying to compare apples to apples, like what does that look like as far as a payment? And so, yeah, so it's been a, little journey, but we're here. And so, yeah, that's about it.
Hey, come on now. We are here, right? And it's the main piece is that you're in the game. And to your point, I think, kudos to everybody, especially you, because you helped me out, that made it through that ordinance piece. I know they recently pushed back the ordinance to September as far as enforcement, and they're talking about, changing up pieces of it, but we have our licenses, right? So we're good to go either way. And I think we're seeing the benefit of that this summer.
Absolutely. And it's funny that you said that, because I had a code enforcer come out to the house, like they just kind of do sweeps on streets. And they told me that we were the only people in, I guess, the area that they serve that actually completed their licensing. And I was like, really? Okay. So, yeah, pretty interesting. A lot of people are still struggling.
Yeah, I think last time I checked, it was like 3 or 4% of all the Airbnbs had a license. So they had to push it back. They're like, hey, they don't want to lose the revenue. They just want to find a way to kind of regulate and make money from it too, right? Like, hey, okay, pay this fee to have your Airbnb.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we have someone new on. Shamika, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good.
And if you wouldn't mind, anytime we have somebody newer join, we love to hear a little bit about your background and also some of your investing goals and kind of what you're into.
All right. So Ahize just sent me this. So that's why she's laughing. She just sent me your Zoom to join in to listen to you guys. I just had a conversation with her a couple weeks ago about just some interest that I have in the housing market and Airbnbs. I have not invested in any Airbnbs yet. I come from a banking background, so I am currently a branch manager at Wells Fargo, but trying to branch out into different avenues and see what's out there. So she told me about your platform and things that you do. So that's why she put me on today to listen to it. So I'm just here trying to learn today. Hey,
Shamika, welcome. Ahize, thank you for inviting Shamika. And I think you don't have to go too far to get knowledge, right? Ahize has been in this game. She's crushing it. I actually go to her from time to time for advice on different pieces. And no, this is a great forum to continue to learn and be ready to rock when you do pull the trigger on the first house.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and
Of
I
course.
bragged on you because I said you are killing it, and I want her to have a small conversation with you. So that'll be offline. But yeah, I thought it would be good for her to join as well.
Done and done. We will make that happen. We will definitely make that happen. And I know we have the new homeowner on the line, Francesco. And let me give a little background for you, man. I don't want to embarrass you, but Francesco started joining these calls late last year and consistently had a goal of getting his first property and then starting to build from there. And happy to say that has it been a month now?
Yeah, I think it's been a month, pretty much. Yeah. Hey, well, yeah.
He already forgot what renting was like. So he got his first house. Congrats, man. And how is
Appreciate it,
that
man.
coming? I know you were doing a couple of projects. And
Yes, I mean it's a lot of work. I had to talk to some contractors today to see, how I can like display my vision. But yeah, I'm enjoying it, man. It feels like money is going into something, which that something is like my future. So it's dope in that sense.
that is pretty cool. That is
Yes,
pretty
brother.
cool. Congrats again. And
Man, I
know,
appreciate it.
come on now. I know a couple people have mentioned it. So Kareem's going to be getting into the short-term rental game here soon. Shamika's looking into it. So we can kind of steer the conversation toward that and really see if we can't deliver some nuggets. He said, would you mind talking through how you got into the short-term rental game and kind of some pros and cons?
Sure. So basically my best friend and I have been talking about getting additional property or investment, but we were trying to see how we could be better together and kind of not, put all of our finances out there. And, as far as like, if we have to put 20% down or 10 or whatever the percent is, we just didn't want to drain our savings. And so we partnered together. She lives in California. So we were able to actually get it as a vacation home. We just kind of wrote up a rationale and tried to go with it and see what the underwriter said. So they approved it that way. So we only had to put 10% down. So we have a ranch. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, has a basement where we store like our, kind of our extra items, linen and toiletries or what have you, but that's not accessible to the, and so we kind of tried to run numbers and crunch them before we purchased the home. And we just felt that, at the end of the day, if there was no one in the home, we need a place that we can still afford to pay if there's nobody, because we didn't want to just have to settle on whoever and like drop the price to $60 a day or whatever. We wanted to have quality people in there. And so we closed on our home at the end of September. We gave our interior designer 3 weeks to get everything together. And we launched the listing on October 16th, and we've been doing really, really well. So I think right now, I was trying to think of what the percentage is. I have to look at the occupancy rate. I mean, of course, right now it's at 100% for June because someone's there the whole month. But I know at the end of last year, we were at the 85 percentile, kind of dropped January through March to, I think, about 60 or 58 or something like that, but it looks like it's on the upward trend. So I will say we're able to make our mortgage every month at least, but for this month, we're about triple our expenses in our, including our mortgage for June because of that 30-something day person. So.
And that is pretty incredible. And to your point, it's just finding a way to get to that next step, right? Like, for example, Ahize talked about partnering, right, to keep and conserve some capital, and then utilizing the fact that one of the partners lives outside the state to put a low down payment, right? So that vacation loan is an awesome product. Being able to put down 10% on a property that you can rent out year round is amazing. For me, I started the Airbnb game early last year in February. And prior to that, I'd always done long-term rentals, but I had friends that were doing short-term rentals in Chicago and Houston and other areas, and were crushing it. And every time we talk, they're like, "Nee, you got to get in here." And so I'm always trying to limit the risk of trying a new strategy, right? And so the way I got in was, and many of you know this, was buying a single family with an in-law suite to put on Airbnb. And my goal for that in-law suite was, even if it didn't work from an Airbnb standpoint, he's to your point, you could cover the mortgage. For me, it was like, hey, I could turn this into just a 1-bedroom long-term rental. And I believe I could pull in $1,500 a month. And that would be enough to buy the house. And so with that in mind, I said, okay, let me try out this Airbnb, see if I can pull in that or a little bit more. And I'm happy to say that on average, over the last 2 years almost, it's been pulling in an average of $2,500 a month, with the best month being $3,200 last August, hoping to top that this summer. And we're getting pretty close. So it's crushing it. And immediately from there, I went and bought a full house. I was like, hey, this makes sense. And now I'm fully bought into this short-term rental game, because what we talked about earlier, it allows you to buy homes in really good neighborhoods that people are moving into and want to be in, and to make it cash flow on the back end. Now, I can tell you that I've seen some of the benefits, because the home I'm in right now has actually appreciated over 100K in this last year and a half, which is a major benefit that you can tap into.
Yeah, I have a quick question regarding this point. Is it a concern when you have a tenant that's staying longer than 30 days? Doesn't that tenant become technically a resident?
He said, you want to take?
Yeah, I have heard that. And I know that because I'm in these different Facebook groups, which I recommend that as well, because you get a lot of knowledge from other people too. But I have heard that, and I've heard it be recommended that you have a contract or like a lease agreement that the guest signs. But this is our second time with a little bit over 30 days. The first time it was like a crew working with communications, fiber and stuff like that. And what we did is we met with them like via Zoom and just kind of like asked questions, and we just based it on how we felt as far as like that energy. And I mean, we've been fine, but maybe there probably is that risk that is there, but we felt comfortable. Now we have had some people reach out and want to do like a 6-month lease, or a 6-month, not lease, but a 6-month stay, a 9-month stay, which we have turned down because we were like, okay, how can we get them out? Like, but at that 30-ish time, like we feel comfortable.
Okay. And is there a way to mitigate that, Nee?
Yeah. So to that point, I love what Ahize just mentioned. And so we do the similar thing, right? So I actually have one of the units that I manage. We have a guest that booked for 33 days, and now they've extended to 45, and then it's out at 45 because we have somebody else coming in. It was a production crew, just like you talked about, Ahize. And so what we do is, and let me take a step back. The law is when somebody stays longer than 28 days, right? That's considered a month-to-month tenant. So it goes to tenant landlord law. One of the reasons that I wanted to move to Georgia, and I love investing in Georgia, is this is a landlord-friendly state. If you were up in Boston, where I lived previously, if somebody becomes a tenant, quote unquote, it could take you 6 months to get somebody out. Boston, New York, all those areas up there. Here, it's more like 14 to 30 days. You can get somebody out through just regular law. What we tend to do is we set a limit of 28 days for how long a guest can instant book if they have good reviews, if they have photos, etc., government ID over 25. And so anybody that tries to request, like these producers, when they requested, the 33 days initially, it came to us as a request. We reached out, we had a conversation. We actually requested more documentation. We said, hey, we need the license of everybody that's going to be staying there. We need to understand the reason. We had a conversation, and then we felt comfortable moving forward and accepting. One, because the money was great, and two, because it was a plausible story. They gave us all the documentation that we needed, and you can kind of screen a little harder when somebody wants to stay longer. And so it's worked out well for us. It sounds like it's working out well for Ahize, but that's how we mitigate the risk on that.
Thank you.
Of course. Any other questions or comments on any of that? Kira, I feel like you're the only person that I haven't kicked it to yet. Do you want to kind of highlight a little bit of what you're looking to do with your next step in this investing world?
Yes, I would. So give me 1 second. I have goals of getting into the short-term rental space. Initially in February 15th, I bought my first property, and I'm currently house hacking it. And now I'm saving money and looking up and researching different ways, as well as having conversations with me on how I can get into the short-term rental space eventually. And hopefully by the end of this year, I'll purchase my first short-term rental.
Fair enough. And you can see that we're kind of practicing what we preach, right? I'm fully bought into this thing. There's so many people moving to Atlanta. It's amazing. But on a complete side note, there's another opportunity that I'm working on with my realtor, actually. And we should have the documentation back, in my realtor in Louisville. And we should have the documentation back. I want to say we should have it today. I haven't caught up on emails yet. So we should have it today and or tomorrow. But we're looking to purchase about 11 acres in Louisville. And the game plan, we've been talking to this owner for literally 5 months. So everybody, perseverance, all right? If you have an off-market deal or you have an opportunity, just stick with it, put reminders in your phone and keep going.
Nice, man.
But we've been talking to this owner for 5 months. We finally had the meeting with the lawyers and the owner, and we agreed to terms. Now we just need to get it signed. But long story short, we're going to purchase 11 acres. And on 2 of those acres, we're going to build storage units. It's going to be regular storage units and boat storage because it's located in a town called Taylorsville, which is near a big lake. And then for the other 9 acres, we're going to look to pull in investors that we know from all around to build an apartment building, right? We're looking to build 3 phases of apartment buildings. We have plans to do about 200 units. I've never done anything like this before, right? Monica has dipped her toes in other people's syndications. But this is an opportunity that would not have come about if I hadn't started with, just the house hack and then buying a house the next year and then kind of building from. But long story short, if you stick long enough in this game, you will see opportunities start to pop up that you just want to take advantage of, right? And so this is one that I'm excited about. I'm a little bit nervous, not going to lie. I will keep you posted on how it goes. And yeah, no, that's a new piece for me as well. Is there anything that is top of mind for anybody on the call or something that you want to mention that we can discuss?
I was just going to say that is awesome. I was trying to get off mute. I mean, you're so humble and I would be like screaming like, whoa. But yeah, that is awesome. And what I value about you is that you share information and kind of it makes others think like, okay, that looks like something that maybe I can do, or maybe, I can work, towards that goal in a couple of years. It's like, it's good to see people doing it because, a lot of times you don't know if it's possible until you actually see someone doing whatever it is. And so I appreciate you for sharing that.
No, I appreciate you, Ahize, because we all sharpen each other and inspire each other. And I'm probably not shouting because I'm actually nervous, right? This is a big undertaking, but on this one, I've been with this realtor as far as investing alongside her and seen her journey as well. She's got a crazy big team out in Louisville for the last 6 years. And so I'm more investing in the person as well, right? Over the deal itself. Right. It's a deal. It's a good deal. We've run the numbers. I've looked at kind of the specs. There's a lot of need in that area for it, but it's more, hey, this person is not going to let this fail. And so I'm investing a bit in that.
And congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
That's dope, man, especially how you made a goal for yourself. And I feel like you're going to definitely meet that goal. You know the goal about your whole business and stuff, like by the year that you wanted to have these many keys. So I feel like you're getting there, man. Congratulations for real, cuz.
Thank you. Thank you, cuz. I really appreciate it, man, for real. Bo, are you still with us? And you may be on mute.
Yeah, but I'm still here.
Fair enough. So you mentioned that you got the Conyers project finishing up. And I know before we talked about you potentially purchasing another home. Have you started to look into that more and figure out kind of, what category you're going to get into?
Yeah, I think I'm still in the long-term rental phase, at least for now, because I was a part of a pretty big duplex flip as far as building it and designing it, but I didn't have any skin in the game. I was doing it for my father. So I wasn't really ever that involved on the number side of things. I was just the one building it. This is the first time I've ever done a flip, and it took me too long to pull the trigger on it. And about the time I got to where I was seeing dollar signs, the market turned 180 degrees and the interest rates skyrocketed. So that wasn't fun, but live and you learn. And so now I'm going to buy another one, and I'll probably have to house hack it to get the numbers to work out in my favor, with the interest rates being the way they are and the type of house that I want and the location that I want. I'm probably going to end up house, which I've never done before, and I'm a little nervous. You know, I don't really like living with roommates. Not that I don't like it. It's just another person that I have to worry about taking care of my house, and I don't know where to find a roommate other than like friends at work or something. But I don't know. But that's where we're at now. Yeah, I'm looking. I'm gonna buy one somewhere in the next 90 to 120 days, probably, if I can find the right one, and I'll start looking for roommates after that.
That is fair. And I know we had a couple people, including myself, that have done house hacks in the past. Kiera, you mind speaking through your experience and also how you manage that roommate situation?
Yes, of course. So I think house hacking is a great way to go, especially if you want to get a property in a great neighborhood and you want to live for virtually nothing and save your money for your next investment. I know you said you're nervous about roommates. I definitely would recommend reaching out to your network, like you mentioned, maybe your coworkers or someone that you know. I know I'm currently living with my boyfriend and my boyfriend's brother, who has the master bedroom with the bathroom attached to it. So it's been working out really well, and we ran the numbers, and I've been living and saving a lot for my next investment because I have the opportunity for them to stay here.
One more thing to add to that, and I don't really know y'all's situation, but if I buy a property, and my mind always goes to this just because this is the route that I was brought up, but when I'm looking for houses, I am looking for houses that could use some updating, or houses where I could put some equity into it, because I build houses, or have been building houses for a little while now, and so if I don't have to hire a contractor and I can do the work myself, that's going to add a lot of value to that property. Well, how am I supposed to do that if I got a roommate living in there? I'm not supposed to tell them to move their stuff out while I redo the floors, or how would I go about that?
And that's a tough one, Akira. I'd love to hear your take. The way I look at house hacking and the way I look at winning in a house hack is I look at, hey, how much do I spend on my rent or where I currently live today? And if I do this house hack, how much is that going to save me? For example, right, in Boston, it's crazy expensive. Okay. If you wanted to go get a 1-bed, 1-bath anywhere near like Boston Center, it's going to cost you $2,000, and the appliances are going to be from 1950 unless you pay $3,000. Right. So up there, I actually ended up buying a condo, and taking a step back. I lived with 2 roommates when I first moved up there because I wanted to be like downtown and kind of understand where everything was. And I was paying $1,500 a month to live with 2 roommates. I said, hey, this is not sustainable. I want to be able to build equity, and let me go try house hacking. And so I was able to get a condo, a 3-bed, 2-bath, have 1 roommate, and lower my cost from $1,500 a month to a little under $1,000. I viewed that as a win because in a year I saved $6,000, right? $500 a month, $6,000 win. Coming back to your point, Bo, I would look at it more as, hey, you're getting to put a low down payment on a house, whether that's using a VA loan or a 3.5% FHA loan. So minimal money out of pocket. And then look at how much am I paying for rent right now? And how much would I save if I house hack that I could save toward the next house? I don't know that that would help you if you go for a fixer upper house, right? I don't know that that would work out well because you wouldn't be able to your point, have a roommate there. I would look more for houses that are already ready to go and that the numbers work to lower your expenses. So I don't know if that helps. I think that's kind of the opposite. But Kiera, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I think to that point, maybe just open communication. So if you have a roommate and you need to do the floors, just let them know beforehand, give them like a realistic expectation on how long that's going to take. And then maybe give them your room and then sleep on the couch or just make sacrifices and be a little flexible when you are making those improvements to your home. But it definitely can work out, especially if you have the skill set to fix up the house. I think it could definitely work out for you.
Awesome, guys. I appreciate it. And I mean, like you said, I could find one that didn't need much and wait till I'm done house hacking it and moving on to the next thing before I made my adjustments to it. I can do all of that in due time.
We've got a little over 4 minutes left before the Zoom kicks us out. And one of the things that I'm hoping one of our members has some insight to, John, I'm going to put you on the spot again. I know you just came on camera. Thank you. So interest rates, right? We've seen, I know that you're in the market, right? And you follow this constantly because you're helping your investors build their wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you, if you had a crystal ball, right? Where do you think we're going to go? I know the Fed signaled they're going to continue to raise throughout the rest of the year. Do you think that'll happen? What are your thoughts about the future? Strictly your opinion. We're not going to hold you to it.
No, yeah. I mean, totally in my opinion, I think we will have another rate hike. I don't know if it'll be the point or the 50 basis points or 0.5%. I think they might do 0.25 or so and then stretch it out over a longer period of time, because raising them too high too soon could, accelerate a recession or some further down markets, especially when so many people are positioned in growth-oriented stocks like Amazon, Facebook, Apple. They're all, their profits are going to soar when interest rates are low because they're borrowing money for nothing, and it's all based on future projections. So I think we're still going to have some rate hikes. I can't remember who was saying it earlier, but yeah, I mean, when we could buy up so many houses for so cheap at 2.5, 2.75%, like, it's got to slow down a bit. Houses are becoming unobtainable for, a normal person. And I think that's a concern of our government. And I think they're trying to slow that down. So I don't see them not hiking interest rates, but I don't know. I mean, they could want to accelerate consumer spending because we're also at one of the lowest savings rates that we've been at for like 18 years or something. In 2020, it was up to 22%, and it's down to 3.5%. So it's very difficult for people to save money right now with higher interest rates and inflation continuing to rise.
Wow. Yeah, that's that was a good take. That was a good take. And my a follow-up question for that is, say we do succeed in slowing it down and we start to enter, a recession phase. Just in your thoughts, and we can't know the future right now, would they start to pull back on that and reverse kind of policy to even us out, or just let it ride?
I mean, there's conflicting views on it. I've heard both takes. I'm not sure which one makes the makes more sense. I can see both sides. I mean, if they pull back, benefit is, we could get back to normal, slows the pain, stops the bleeding a little bit. But if they don't, I mean, we haven't had a down market in 12 years. So I could see them almost saying like, hey, this isn't, a pullback. Like, we need to restabilize. We need to reset a lot of stuff here, and it's going to be painful later. It's going to be painful now. Do we rip off the Band-Aid now, or do we kind of try to space it out over a longer period of time? So I'm not entirely sure, but I don't think we're seeing an 08 type of situation by any means. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw another slip of, 500 basis points or 10%.
Yeah. And I think we're far gone from 08, right? That was bad lending and a lot of other things behind the scenes. This is, the people that are qualifying for homes and loans and things of that nature are overqualified. Like
Exactly.
I'm under contract for a house and they almost asked, for my blood, right, on the application. So it's a bit crazy, but the way I look at it, interest rates are high, right? And they're increasing. But from a real estate perspective,